For the samurai style weapons, it's the same lengths. A wakizashi is a short sword. It's a 2-foot bar. A ninjutsu is a broadsword. It's 2.5. And then katana, then of course, is a longsword length.
What do you do different to make them curve?
Ah, that's a good point. Katanas and ninjutsus and such, it's the same process I just used, except I don't put this back piece on. Instead of putting this back blade on, I just use another piece of this small 1/4-inch cut, and I put that on as the back of the blade. So you really only need one piece to make a wakizashi, one 1-inch piece like there, and then this would just be 3 of these pieces that I used to cover the bar. 1, 2, and then I'd take one more and I would have put it along the back. Now to create the curve, I actually don't bend the bar at all. A lot of people think that you bend it somehow, or maybe you heat it up. I've done that with PVC, but you don't need to do it with this. What you do is you create the illusion of a curve. And the way you create the illusion of a curve is 2 ways. One is you cut the handle at an angle, and you cut from the blade out towards the bar, and you get very close to the bar. And you take that piece and you put it down below and you tape it onto the back. And what you get is a bar that would look like the sword goes like this, and then it looks like the handle's going like that. But really, the sword itself is doing that, but the bar is still remaining straight. So you've created the illusion of a curved bar when the sword itself really does curve, but the bar is staying completely straight. You do the same thing for the blade, for the tip. At the tip, instead of mounting this point straight, you mount it at an angle. So it finishes the curve for you. So you get this illusion of a curved bar, when really the bar is staying totally true. It's just the foam that's curving.
And probably, if you wanted to, you could also curve the piece that you put on the back some.
You mean this piece here?
No, you said you put a thin piece on the back of the blade.
Oh yeah, back here.
And you could probably make the ends of it a little longer.
Yes, you could. You could add a little bit here or add a little bit here. In fact, with the katanas, since they're so long, I actually add a little piece of foam, a small piece, something like something like this. I take and I add it before I put the blade on. So to make it, it actually becomes 1.25 inches, and that pushes the blade out a little bit, which then increases that look of a curve. So that's just a little technique that I've learned. Now there's something you need to know about the blades if you're making anything longer than a short sword or a wakizashi. What you'll find is the longer they get, the harder they hurt, if you're not careful. And I don't do anything longer than 3 feet with this kind of rod. What I found is that anything longer than 3 feet, and unless it's in the hands of a real professional, it tends to have kind of a slap to it. And because what happens is that after about 3 feet, this fiberglass rod will bend a bit when you swing. And so what you'll have is you'll swing and it kind of bends like a fishing pole, and then it whacks out at you. So it's really not good once you get beyond about 3 feet. At that point, I would use bamboo because it's much more rigid. So if you're going to get anything longer than that, what you're going to do is you're going to need to do a little technique right here at the last 6 inches. What you do, and I'm going to do it to this sword just because I want to show you, but I would usually do it before I put the tape on, because it's pointless to do it afterwards. But what you do is you come in here and you actually cut right into the blade like this, and you cut straight in, and you cut a groove like that, and you do the same thing on the other side, like that. And it creates these little air pockets that now I can get my finger in there, like that, see? And the reason why you want that is that, so you can see, like, of course, then I would have done that before I put the tape on. What that allows is that now that's softened up this part of the sword quite a bit, and this center part can move independently. Now, of course, I'll tape it back up again, so it's not like you're going to see that on your sword, but it allows for that particular part of the sword to be softer, and that's the part that you hit with the most on a sword, is this little last 6 inches right here. And so by softening it, by cutting those grooves into a broadsword or a longsword, katana, or a ninjutsu, all those are the ones I cut into, then what you get is a much softer, see, it's a much softer feel when you strike at that part. And you might say, well, why don't you do that the whole length? Well, the reason why is you don't get much force if you hit somebody really close like this. Your arm isn't moving as much, there's not as much force. This part of the sword is moving a lot when I swing. It's coming all the way from here. And so it has a lot more speed and therefore a lot more force. So I only soften that last 6 inches. It's all that really needs it. And then you have a very soft hit here and a very bouncy hit here. So, so I want to show a little bit of a wakizashi, which you can then apply to making any sort of curved sword, a scimitar or a katana even. What I've done is instead of using 2 sides to the blade, I've secured one side, but I have on the back just some of this 1/4 inch. Because I don't need to really strike with the back. So I've just secured that on, and I'm going to finish securing it here by putting another piece on and just taping it down really tight like that. Now, we were talking about earlier about creating the illusion of a curve, because you can't really curve these bars. So what you do instead is you create the illusion of a curve. I've marked it about 6 inches there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut an angle in this. I'm going to angle it down, going really close to the bar actually, and I'm going to cut so that I come out almost touching the fiberglass rod when I come out right there. So now I've got a slope. And I'm going to take this and put this on the back right there, and that will complete that illusion of a curve. That way my sword will look like a curved wakizashi or an ancient style katana perhaps, but it won't, the bar itself is going to stay true. So that's the step I'll do there, and I would secure that up. The other thing to do is to create the illusion curve at the tip too. I've taken the tip and I've sort of cut at an angle to give it more of a sort of looking like a curve, and I'm going to secure this tip on at an angle also, just so that it will look curved when I'm done. And that's just done by simply taping it at an angle.
Just hold that up and
So there, and tape at an angle, you get a curved sword.